Parker was unable to supply it because they had a third-party supplier for this rear valve package.
It works. Of course it does. Yeah.
We began this project not because we were certain we could do it, but because we promised the customer and we took their money. So we had no choice and we had to figure something out. But let's see why we had some nervous engineers and mechanics.
We have the drawing from Parker of the original unit that the customer requires, showing the two-speed valve and the orientation that they require.
We had a very similar motor which had a special part we needed, a chrome valve spool and housing. Luckily, it was close enough to work with. We would need to change the port locations and reverse the spool functionality. The gear pump we have in stock is a slightly smaller size, so we need to make sure it can still control the slightly larger motor that the customer needs.
The supply is the PGM 076, which is a little bigger size. So we'll need to modify this two-speed valve and also change the port location and also the functionality, reverse functionality. This one here starts off in low speed, high torque, and they need it to start in high speed, low torque. Yep. Builds a lot of cranes that isn't willing to change yet. We use genuine Parker parts and machine them as needed.
We did a 3D model in SolidWorks. We had to put ports in the bottom here. We had to close the flange ports off that were at the back, and we had to reorientate, rotating the spool, putting the actuators and spring in the reverse direction. We also then had to modify the adapter block and the interconnecting tube. Also on the front section of the flange, we have a keyway that needed to be machined in, and also a couple drain ports with internal check valves.
Double checked it with the machinist as we went each part. The components, the body and the inner spool between the size 50 and 76 is exactly the same. So there is no performance loss. We just need to get the mounting to the wider space bolts and the ports. Just about every piece needed some kind of modification.
The sections themselves also had to be machined down to have clearance for where it goes inside the machine. They have on their drawing specific dimensions here that are non-standard for the Parker components. Duplicate what they required from standard original Parker parts and using the PGM 52 speed block.
The biggest thing functionality wise, not a problem. Mechanical, being able to make this smaller pattern fit on a bigger motor, and then actually getting this high pressure tube connection on the bigger motor was quite challenging. Russell was great.
Perfect.
It was a team effort between Mike the machinist, myself, and Russell. You take one out of the picture and it's not happening. And we even had problems with the tie rods. We bought grade 8, what were supposed to be grade 8 tie rods. And when Russell was torquing them up, it didn't feel right. He kept getting a little bit more movement on the wrench. And we did some digging and they weren't grading. So they would have failed. And it works. Of course it does.
Yeah, why wouldn't it?
You know, when I played the